Welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe in the studios of our flagship stations, 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99. You can also find us in the Birmingham Bloomfield area on Birmingham Area Municipal Access and on City Cable 15 of Southfield. Join us live on Channel 10 in Waterford every day on the Media Network of Waterford, and live to tape on Channel 10 in Orion Township and Lake Orion on Orion Neighborhood Television or ONTV. You can also find us on the radio in the Birmingham, Bloomfield, and Troy areas on 88.1 FM, the BIFA service of the Bloomfield Hills School District. Find us online on our Facebook pages at Civic Center TV 15 and at Lakes FM, on our website on civiccentertv.com and on My Michigan TV or MyMy at mymytv.com, where you can also learn more about downloading their free MyMyTV apps for your smartphones and smart TVs. All that information's on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. We can also find all of our programs on demand and find each individual interview as well. Then on our news page at civiccentertv.com/local-news, you have links to the most up-to-date information on COVID-19 from the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division, so that you can stay up to date on everything you need to know about COVID-19, including vaccination, booster shots, masking, and more. Also on our news page at civiccentertv.com/local-news, we feature articles from outlets all across the state of Michigan in order to keep you updated on COVID-19 and other stories making headlines in the Great Lakes state. Our top story today is from Bridge, Michigan, from Mike Wilkinson. It's their coronavirus tracker, saying no doubt of another surge. Cases are up 44% in just a week. COVID-19 continues to surge in Michigan as confirmed cases jumped 44% over the past week to 23,166, according to the state data released on Wednesday. Among the state's more populous counties, the biggest jumps were in Kent County, up 67%, Ingham County, up 51%, Macomb County, up 48%, and suburban Wayne County, which went up 43% to total cases of 3,855 in that week period. The surge, which began 6 weeks ago, has led to increases in hospitalizations and deaths, but not as dramatic as in previous surges. As of Wednesday, there were 903 confirmed patients with COVID-19 or suspected COVID-19 being treated, up from 876 on Monday and 737 a week ago. Brian Peters, the CEO of Michigan Health and Hospital Association, told Bridge that a significant portion of hospitalized cases involve patients who came in for other treatments. All patients are tested regardless of their symptoms. Over the past week, the state reported 66 more confirmed COVID-19 deaths, up from 52 the previous week. Since the first Omicron wave hit in mid-December, COVID-19 deaths have plummeted. There were 2,870 in January, 1,499 in February, 546 in March, and 238 in April. So far in May, there's been a total of 41 deaths. Peters said the lower death toll can be attributed to the less lethal nature of the current variants and increased immunity accrued from vaccinations and prior infections. There are also now more widely distributed therapies for COVID-19 as well. The percentage of coronavirus tests coming back positive this week hit 16%, traditionally a rate that indicates widespread infections and which in the past led to far more hospitalizations and deaths. In February, when the positive rate was similarly high but falling, there were over 2,000 people being treated for COVID-19. Also making headlines from the Detroit News from the Detroit Free Press's Frank Witzel, the St. Mary's Prep has canceled its Polish Country Fair over, quote, serious safety and security concerns. Orchard Lake St. Mary's Prep, which builds its annual Polish Country Fair as, quote, the nation's largest high school fair, end closed quote, has closed off its Memorial Day weekend festivities this year, blaming security and safety concerns. In a letter earlier this year to the school's Moms and Dads Club, the St. Mary's Board of Trustees chairman and headmaster said it was, quote, a tough decision to make, end closed quote, but the trustees unanimously voted to suspend the event. They left it open whether the fair would return or be replaced with another event. The Free Press left messages and sent an email to the school seeking comment. Hosted and sponsored by St. Mary's and the Moms and Dads Club, the 4-day event benefits students at the high school and draws a reported 100,000 visitors on average. The fair traditionally offers Polish food, a gambling tent, a sports tent, and a bunch of carnival rides. Founded in 1885, St. Mary's was initially created in Detroit for Polish-American boys to prepare for the priesthood and in 1909, it moved to the campus where it is right now, which had previously been the Michigan Military Academy. In addition to the fair, the school's Polish roots are still apparent in its school's colors, red and white, and nickname Eaglets. And Polish-born Pope John Paul II once visited the school as well. School officials cited a, quote, growing number, and closed quote, of safety concerns at school events on and off campus. In addition, the Orchard Lake Police Department expressed, quote, serious safety and security concerns, closed quote, with the fair. The letter did not mention specific security threats, but in November, a mass shooting at Oxford High School about 20 miles away killed 4 students. It was the deadliest school shooting in America since 2018. In the aftermath of the shooting, schools throughout Metro Detroit faced heightened scrutiny and dozens of copycat threats. On top of that, the letter mentioned, quote, lingering issues related to COVID-19 and to staffing. As of last week, mutations of the coronavirus Omicron variant have increasingly been showing up in Michigan. So far, at least half a dozen different subvariants have been detected. Omicron remains the prevailing variant of COVID-19 at this time. Epidemiology experts say it's difficult to get a clear picture of how much coronavirus is spreading because people are increasingly using at-home tests, and their results aren't necessarily reported to state health authorities. St. Mary's, which had been an all-boys Catholic high school, began accepting girls in 2019. However, boys and girls still go to separate classes. In effect, it is like having an all-boys school and an all-girls school on the same campus. The letter said that the school's board and administration will continue to work with the Moms and Dads Club to develop a plan for having the fair in the future or consider other fundraising initiatives to support the next generation of students. Lastly, making headlines on civiccentertv.com/local-news from Jennifer Chambers at the Detroit News. Attorney General Dana Nessel, as well as parents from Oxford High School, are blasting school officials for delaying an investigation into the deadly shooting that happened at Oxford High School in November of 2021. Tate Mears' father said the decision by Oxford Community Schools officials to delay an independent investigation into last fall's mass shooting for what could be years is an admission of guilt for their role in his son's death. Buck Mears spoke Wednesday in a virtual news conference the day after Oxford High School's school board president, Oxford Schools Superintendent Tom Donnelly Jr. said an independent review would not be conducted until civil litigation and criminal cases connected to the November 30th attack that killed 4 students are resolved. Quote, it still angers us. To me, this is an admission of guilt, Mears said during the press conference at his attorney's office. Continuing on, Mears said, quote, They know things didn't go right that day, and they don't want to stand up and fix it. They are going to hide behind government immunity, insurance, and lawyers. What does this teach the kids? End closed quote. Megan Gregory, whose son Keegan survived the shooting, also spoke during the news conference with attorney Ven Johnson, saying the district's explanation is confusing. Quote, I don't know why they keep saying they need anything from the Oakland County Sheriff or Prosecutor's Office when it's an internal investigation. They are the ones who know what happened that day. They are the ones who know what the breakdown would have been, Gregory said. Both families have sued the alleged shooter and his parents, along with 6 school district personnel. Both parents said performing the independent investigation is important so they can understand what happened that day and what the district is doing differently to protect children who attend the school there now. Keegan, who has not returned to school, Keegan has not returned to school, according to his mother. He was in the bathroom with Justin Schilling when Schilling, 17, was fatally shot, and he ran past Tate Mears' body after escaping, she said. Gregory said she has 4 other children she sends to school every day. Quote, that day terrified us. We didn't know if our kid was going to make it out of there, she said. We need to know our 4 kids are going to be safe going to that school, end close quote. And Keegan needs to know there are changes too, she said, quote. He needs to know there is going to be a new protocol that there is safety. I don't know if we will ever get him back to school, end close quote, she said. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel on Wednesday accused Oxford school board members of being, quote, more focused on limiting liability, end close quote, than responding to the concerns of the community and investigating the events that led up to the shooting in Oakland County, in which 6 students and a teacher were also wounded, in addition to the 4 students who were killed. Donnelly said Tuesday the district was declining for the second time in less than 6 months an offer from Dana Nessel's office, the Attorney General's office, to investigate the incident. Quote, given the nature and the breadth of the current criminal and civil proceedings, the review of the tragedy and associative events of November 30th, 2021 will not occur until the criminal and civil litigations are complete, Donnelly said Tuesday during a school board meeting. Continuing on, quote, once the litigation process is completed and all information has risen to the surface, a team of experts will conduct a third-party review. Our subcommittee has begun the process of vetting those officials. Donnelly said the Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald and Sheriff Michael Bouchard have information about the incident that the district simply does not have. Quote, it would be ill-advised for us to start a third-party investigation if we don't know the facts, end close quote, said Donnelly, who acknowledged that many in the community have demanded that the district begin a review of what happened on November 30th of 2021 and what can be done to prevent it from recurring. Attorney General Nessel said she was, quote, deeply disappointed by the school board's repeated rejection of my offers, end close quote, to conduct an independent review of the events of the days preceding the incident. Quote, my goal is not to assign blame, but to help identify ways to improve school safety for Oxford and all schools in Michigan, Nessel said in a statement. Continuing on, the Attorney General said, quote, the school board's unwillingness to partner with my department on this effort flies in the face of transparency. The rejection sends a message that the board is more focused on limiting liability than responding to the loud outcry from the Oxford community to deliver greater peace of mind for the students, parents, and educators that lived through that traumatic event, end close quote. Nessel, who met privately with parents last month, said she would return to the community, quote, to be a resource. Quote, my department can only perform an exhaustive and thorough review when we have the full cooperation of the school board and the district. Absent that partnership, I'm restricted to the publicly available information that we have all read and reviewed. This latest setback does not deter my efforts to share best practices across our state in order to help all students improve the safety and security of their learning environments. The district is facing at least 4 state and federal lawsuits over the shooting. I know it's wanted by us all, Donnelly said, continuing on, saying, quote, we still want to get it done. We are not changing anything. We are evolving on how this should be accomplished. We are modifying it, end close quote. Donnelly said the district never defined in the third-party process in December when it committed to undertaking one. He said that he sees the reviews as having 2 key components, the November 30th tragedy and the district's 3-year recovery plan, which is now being developed by the superintendent, Ken Weaver, and his administration. Quote, we see this as several independent reviews, not just one, end close quote. Other parents, including Steve St. Juliana, father of Hannah St. Juliana, who was one of the 4 students killed in the rampage, has said they are outraged no independent investigation has been conducted nearly 6 months after the shooting. Quote, I think the board's decision speaks volumes on its own as to its priorities, St. Juliana said. Lori Bourgeau, the parent of an Oxford high school student, said the district's decision tells her everything that she needs to know. Quote, we need protection from your poor judgment, she said. You should all resign immediately and allow board members who have our students' safety and security as a top priority step in and take over because you are clearly concerned about you and not us. Lawsuits stemming from the mass shooting could take years to resolve. In March, the Department of Justice announced it had settled the 40 civil cases arising out of the February 2018 mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Survivors of the shooting and the families of 16 people killed sued the government for damages, according to a statement by the department. The litigation began in late 2018. According to the Associated Press, families of 9 victims of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting agreed in February to a settlement of a lawsuit against the maker of the rifle used to kill 20 first graders and 6 educators in 2012. The families and a survivor of the shooting sued Remington in 2015. All those headlines on our website, civiccentertv.com/local news, as well as all those helpful links to accurate information on COVID-19 from the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great program ahead on this Thursday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. Coming up next, we'll talk technology with Pete Stenger from Togo Tiki Software Company, and then at the bottom of the hour, Joanne Ewald from Mend on the Move will join us by the phone. That's all up next on the Oakland County Megacast.
Whether you're the city, the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
We work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
Our rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
Welcome back to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now is the co-founder of Togo Tiki Software Company, specializing in interactive and 360-degree media out of Bloomfield Hills. Pete Stenger joins us now on the Megacast. Pete, thank you for being with us.
Hey, Tyler, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, appreciate having you on. So first of all, just give us a little bit of your background and the basic information about your company.
Well, my background's kind of interesting. I'm actually a CPA by trade who got into software development about 15 years ago. And on that journey, got into kind of the world of photography, which led me to realize that there's a kind of a lack of capabilities in the area of delivering interactive content. And so I started using my software development background, this new company, to help deliver interactive content 360 to people in a really easy way without having to do any software coding.
So when you say interactive content and when you talk about 360-degree content, define that for us, because interactive can mean so many different things, especially when it comes with video. What sort of projects does your company work on in that sense?
Okay, so if I think of just a traditional video, we think of it as a linear storytelling process. As the viewer, you have a few options. You can hit play, you can hit pause, you can stop, right? Well, in an interactive one, we can actually make the content that you're watching and your interaction with that content change the storyline. So for example, the video has you walking into a building and the narration says, do you want to go to the right or to the left? You can interact, and by choosing right or left, you can actually direct the storyline to be different, kind of a gamification of a video. So the applications for that we're working on have to do with education and training and resort and spatial marketing. The other aspect of what we're working on that you kind of touched on there is that 360 element. And so if you're not familiar with what we mean by 360 imagery, it is a special type of camera that takes a picture in all directions at one time. And it could be a video or a still image. People often are accustomed to seeing this maybe in home tours, particularly during COVID. People would be able to go through a house and see each room in 360. So we've combined that with the video capabilities so that your 360 image can come to life a little bit more by having the video content, the narration experience along with it to really help give telepresence, I guess.
And so what goes into making these different videos? Because I would imagine you have to consider all possible avenues when you're telling one story versus the other. It's even just one environment versus the other, especially if you're mentioning like home tours or for educational purposes. So just how much planning and execution and what kind of brainstorming goes into creating these videos for these clients?
That's a really good question, because as we've gotten into this area, we've discovered that that's a kind of a new skill set that people are needing to develop. So if you take a typical home tour, that's a fairly easy format to imagine. You've got a front door, you're going to walk into the home, you're going to see maybe the ground floor, and then you're going to take people up to some bedrooms. Pretty easy. And as they go through, you're allowing them to maybe interact with that space in a 360 format. Go into the kitchen and now turn around and be able to see the full kitchen. Very easy. But when you're talking about like education or medical applications, it gets a little bit more, it needs a lot more of a creative whiteboarding process. And where we find that that's helpful is to kind of go in reverse if you're dealing with an educator, to say, okay, what are your primary learning objectives you want to achieve? And where do you see the greatest failure rate with people not understanding the content? And those create your off-ramps where you need to be able to provide some remedial content, maybe giving people some more background. Some people are going to get it and not need it. Some people might. And so putting question and answer type interaction into the video can really help drive that experience.
We're joined by Pete Stenger, co-founder of Togo Tiki Software Company, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. More information on their website, togotiki.com. That's togotiki.com for more information. And so how does this system work for your clients then? Because when they're coming in, they have, I would imagine, very specific things that they want to be interactive or they want to be 360. So just how flexible are these projects for these different businesses, especially for those storytellers that would like to not just tell a story in a linear fashion like you mentioned earlier, but tell it in a way that it's kind of like a web. It has so many different routes that you can go and sub-routes that you can take to tell a similar story or a mix of several stories in one environment.
Yeah, so we've kind of taken a unique approach to this. We wanted no code. The people who use the system don't have to have any software coding experience. They can load up their videos and their images into our file library. We do all the processing to get them ready for streaming. And then through a drag and drops tool, they kind of assemble those pieces and are able to draw the linkage between them. The other thing that we've done that's unique is at each point that there's a link between two pieces of media, we've created a unique URL at that point. So basically a unique website link, which that then allows, and every point is a point of entry. So if you are writing a story and you want to be able to allow some people to come into the story at the end or in the middle, you have all those entry points. So it really creates kind of a unique way to kind of jump into an educational process or into a story. If, for example, if you were doing something maybe in education, you don't need to have someone watch the entire series if all they need to understand is a particular topic that's 3/4 of the way through. You can directly send them to that point of interactivity and shorten that time.
We're joined by Pete Stenger, co-founder of Togo Tiki Software Company. More information on their website, togotiki.com, as they join us here on the Megacast today. And so for the storytelling element in particular, for education too, what are some of these uses that have been executed using this system, using this software? What are some examples of some of these videos that are being used, and what's the reaction from your clients?
So one of the videos that I think is really a neat use case was a hand surgeon who had prepared a 20-minute video that was intended for the medical professional community on the conditions and treatments of various hand diseases, carpal tunnel syndrome, trigger finger, things like that. And what he realized was he wanted to be able to communicate more effectively with his patients, lay people, about the various conditions, symptoms, and treatment options. And he had this 20-minute video. So we took that video and we retooled its content, made it interactive so that it was accessible to someone who doesn't have a medical background. He could direct them specifically to the section if they were being treated for carpal tunnel. Go right to this section. I give you the options to look at the treatments, the conditions, the symptoms, and your options, and they could navigate around. We've all had that experience. We've been to the doctor's office, we listen, we hear, and we get to the car, and we've got 5 more questions, or we don't remember. So this really was an interesting project to deliver not only content to the patient before they met with the doctor, but a take home that they could go revisit.
And so what sort of impact are you seeing on your clients who are choosing these products and services versus a more linear method of training or of educating or of telling a story? How has utilizing your product, your software, benefited them in their eyes?
Their feedback from their viewers and their audience is that they really like the experience of being able to choose the content they want to engage with. The retention levels for the content goes up. Video in general is a great learning format because you are not only seeing and using your eyes and your ears, which are two auditory memory actions, but when you add the physical action of being able to move in and the decision-making process, you improve retention and comprehension. So people are more likely to remember your product, remember your service, and hopefully make that purchase decision right in the video, because you can have the buy now button right there.
We're joined by Pete Stenger, the co-founder of Togotiki Software Company, joining us on the Megacast. More information on their website, togotiki.com. That's togotiki.com. And I understand that for those who may be interested in trying out this interactive video software, that you do have a free trial available.
Yeah. There's a free 30-day trial and free demos, free training sessions. You can go on our website, click it. You'll get with myself or John or any of the other people that we can get you up and running really quick. And so you can experiment and see how it goes.
And I also understand, too, that you do some work with nonprofits, or your services could be very helpful for nonprofits. Can you explain that relationship, how that developed, and how you are helping these organizations that are really in a great need right now, especially starting to come out of the throes of the pandemic?
Yeah, so for example, just yesterday, we met with the Harbor Springs Historical Society, and they are taking one of the old buildings in their town that was built in the 1880s, and they're doing a massive renovation on it, so they're in a big capital campaign. So we went in and we took some 360 imagery, got some drone footage and video content that they can now use to help educate potential donors about not only the project, but their vision. We'll be able to include in that their architectural vision of what they want to do with that space and make it an interactive experience. And we're doing that in this case, basically as a free service, because we really believe in the mission that they're doing.
And what about hosting these videos too? Because it's one thing to make them, it's another thing to host them or put them in a dedicated space, especially if you're creating dedicated websites for them. Do you host these videos on something like YouTube or Vimeo or other systems, or is that on the client ultimately to arrange for the hosting of these videos?
Yeah, no, part of our service is we host and stream the videos from an Azure dedicated data center. So you have reliable streaming capacity. And we also can do a lot of stuff that we don't even get into, like doing artificial intelligence to create transcript of your videos. We can translate your transcripts into multiple different languages if you're trying to reach a broader audience. So there's a lot of stuff we can do as the hosting agent, if that's all you need.
We're joined by Pete Stenger, co-founder of Togotiki Software Company, on the Megacast. More information on the website, togotiki.com, togotiki.com, for more information and to try their free trial of their interactive video software as well. Pete, are there any other technologies, too, that your company is working on outside of the 360 video and the interactive video softwares?
Well, initially, our strategy has been to make sure that we can deploy to mobile devices, PCs, Mac devices. They're the largest base of installed things. Right now, what we're looking at the head-mounted units like an Oculus and things like that, and how we can bring content and interactivity into that space too. So that's kind of on our roadmap. That's probably our next biggest technology challenge.
We're joined by Pete Stenger, co-founder of Togotiki Software Company, joining us on the Megacast. More information is on the website, togotiki.com. That's togotiki.com for more information. And so Pete, as we look into the future, just how more prevalent do you believe that interactive video and 360 media is going to be in the overall landscape, especially for just everyday small businesses and companies that normally aren't really dabbling into video?
I think it's going to be a big game changer. If you think about like how people interact with something like TikTok, and 7 or 8 years ago, what was TikTok? Who knew? And now it's a major delivery mechanism. I think as consumers and businesses get acquainted with interactive video and the ability to immediately react to what you're seeing and change the impact, it's going to be huge.
We're joined by Pete Stenger. He is the co-founder of Togotiki Software Company, joining us on the Megacast. Togotiki.com. That's Togotiki.com for more information. Pete, another couple minutes before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that would be important for our audience to know or consider about your company or the services that you provide at this time?
We like to let people know if they have their own photographers or their own media, this is a great platform to work with all that. If you don't and you're concerned about that, we're happy to work with a team of people and bring in photographers, videographers, drone services, and the storyboarding. So we realize that not everybody and not all of our clients are capable of deploying this. So, we give that full width of service beyond just the software.
Togotiki Software Company can be found in Bloomfield Hills and online 24 hours a day at Togotiki.com. Pete, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tyler. Have a great day.
You as well. Appreciate it. We'll take a quick break on the Megacast. On the other side, combining recovery work and jewelry all at once. That's up next. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Can I ask you a question?
Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes. They stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Joining us us now is Joanne Ewald from Mend on the Move. She is the founder of the organization that employs survivors of abuse in Metro Detroit and create jewelry and other items in their work as well. Joanne, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Tyler, for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So I gave a little bit of a preview of what your organization does, but you, of course, are the founder of the organization. You have a lot more information on this. You're a lot better person to describe Mend on the Move. So for those that may be unfamiliar with your organization, tell us what Mend on the Move does for people in the community.
So Mend on the Move is a nonprofit that employs women, who you said it right, who are survivors of abuse, a variety of different abuse, whether that's emotional, physical, sexual abuse. And we employ them with a job, and we teach them to create jewelry from salvaged auto parts. And that we're doing a thing twofold. We're helping women who desperately need it in our community, and also helping the environment by getting rid of waste that normally is just put into landfills.
And so how did you come to find this organization? What was the motivation behind providing these opportunities to survivors of abuse, and then why this route for providing that outlet?
Well, I'm a survivor myself, and really a long time coming in my healing process. I really didn't begin the healing process until I was well into my adulthood, although the abuse happened when I was a child. And so creating art and jewelry was a part of my healing process, and I began to think that maybe other women might benefit from it the same as I did, other women who've been through similar situations. So it really was just a part of my healing process, and it led me here. And why auto parts? I just wanted to pick something that was symbolic of working with women locally.
And so, Joanne, when they are putting together this jewelry, they're making it from salvaged auto parts. What is that process like? Because when you think of salvaged auto parts, I think most people would think of things that are rusted out or are heavily used and are probably not going to be all that visually appealing to then turn into jewelry. So what is that process like?
Well, some of the parts aren't really that rusty and terrible looking. They're just parts maybe that have been discontinued, or a lot of companies just are not making, don't have use for it because they're not making something where they need those parts any longer. So they're given to us. Most of the time they don't look so used and grimy. They're newer parts, but they're just discontinued, more like parts.
We're joined by Joanne Ewald. She is the founder of Mend on the Move, with us today on the Oakland County Megacast. More information is on their website, mendonthemove.org. That's mendonthemove.org for more information on this organization. And so how do people that have been victims of abuse, how do they then find Mend on the Move, get in contact with your organization, and start working with your organization?
Well, we, on a regular basis, when we need makers, we try to put out a job opportunity on all of our social media, our website. Currently, we are actually looking for a seamstress, because not only do we make jewelry, but we also create leather goods from salvaged car seat leather. And we do all sorts of fun things with that leather. So we're looking for a seamstress right now. We may also be looking for another maker soon too, so stay tuned, but they can always look on our website, contact info@Mend on the Move if they're interested, or if they just need some information in general on how to deal with the situation they may find themselves into.
We're joined by Joanne Ewald, the founder of Mend on the Move, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. More information is on their website, mendonthemove.org. And so you mentioned not only the jewelry that's being made from salvaged auto parts, but also your seamstress and some of the clothing items that are also being made from salvaged parts, such as seats and from the leather of the seats and the cloth of the seats and so on. Where are you getting all these materials from? Who are they coming from to Mend on the Move to then turn into these products?
Well, currently our list is a big donator is Ford. They actually donated a whole pallet of car seat leather to us last year, which we're putting to good use. We make tote bags, we make table runners, dog leashes. We get also leather from Lear Corporation. We get parts from Relco Industries. that make carburetors and radiators. We get parts from BAE Industries, and they make seat components. Let's see, who else might be missing? Right now, we are getting a lot of potential suppliers from Magna. They use a variety of suppliers to make their parts, and they plugged us into their suppliers to try to see who would be interested in donating parts that service them. So we're slowly but surely making our way through the automotive industry and finding new connections all the time.
We're joined by Joanne Ewald. She is the founder of Mend on the Move, with us on the Megacast today. More information on their website, mendonthemove.org. That's mendonthemove.org. And Joanne, you have an event coming up. It's called Shop for the Good Village. Can you tell us what this event is, what the goal of this event is, and where people can join in and participate?
So this event is really not sponsored by Mend. We're actually just going to be participating in it, but it's actually put on by the Berkeley, I believe it's the Berkeley Chamber of Commerce. But it is on July 6th from 11 to 5 p.m. And it's really great. I think it's one of the only art shows. It's the it's actually officially called the Berkeley, and I have to look this up because this, again, is not the show that we're not sponsoring it, but we're excited to be a part of it. It's called the Berkeley Street Art Fest. And what's really cool about it is they're having one area of it. It's called the Shop for Good Village. So in that street, or that street area, there is a section for just either nonprofits such as like us, or other businesses that are making products that are either sustainable, good for the environment, or that helping people locally. So it's all products that really are doing things good for our community. And I think that's really great idea. And again, I don't know another art fair that's doing something like this.
We're joined by Joanne Ewald. She is the founder of Mend on the Move, joining us on the Megacast. Again, more information is on the website, mendonthemove.org. That's mendonthemove.org. And again, if you would like to participate in the Berkeley Street Art Fest and at the Shop for the Good Village section of that, where Mend on the Move and other organizations will be selling some of their products to support their organizations, that event is coming up in July 6th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Berkeley is the Berkeley Street Art Fest. Go ahead and search that for more information on the full festival, and you can search Shop for Good Village at that event when you arrive. July 6th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
It's actually, I think it's July 16th. You said July 6th. I think it's July 16th.
July 16th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Again, more information. If you search Berkeley Street Art Fest, you'll get all the information you need on the entire event, which will include Shop for Good Village, where our friends at Mend on the Move will be on that date. We're joined by Joanne Ewald, the founder of Mend on the Move. And for those that may be doing some shopping for Mother's Day or down the road for Father's Day even, you have many products that are available at this time. Can you tell us about some of the collection of jewelry that may be available if someone would like to get a gift for their mother or their father or someone else in their life this summer?
Well, Mother's Day is actually right next week. Yeah. So that's actually before this event. We have lots of things on our website. I'm wearing a pair of earrings right now, and these are parts that are donated from Relco Industries. But we have leather goods, and we have earrings and necklaces, and oh my gosh, there's lots of good, fun stuff to check out. But this art show will have all those items there, and we'll also have our leather goods present there too. So lots of great things for, honestly, in the summertime, I start going to all the art shows and start thinking about the holiday, because, that's a time when when that time comes and you want a unique gift, it's hard to find. So start thinking about it in the summer. I do my holiday shopping beginning in the summer, June, for all the art shows in Michigan.
Yeah, a lot of great art shows in the spring and the summer, and even into the early parts of the fall, all throughout the state of Michigan. And many of them do have events like Shop for Good Village within that event that the Berkeley Street Art Fest will have in July, featuring organizations like yours, like Mend on the Move. We're joined by Joanne Ewald. She is the founder of Mend on the Move. More information is on their website, mendonthemove.org. And so, Joanne, if people would like to get involved with the organization, either they are victims survivors of abuse, the victims of abuse, survivors of abuse themselves, and would like to work with the organization, or others that would like to volunteer or help the organization in any way that they can, how can they get involved with Mend on the Move?
Well, we don't necessarily have a volunteer program because, the women actually work in the studio and there's a lot of privacy involved and just, identity issues. So it's not so much a volunteer, but for those who actually are looking, they're survivors and actually looking to be involved either as employment opportunity or, again, that would be a good volunteer opportunity for them being a survivor themselves. It would be info@mendonthemove.org. Anybody who wants to contact for more information or has ideas of how they would like to be involved, and maybe it's not even like working in our studio or something, but maybe it's doing something outside the studio that would be beneficial for our organization. We're always looking for opportunities to raise money because our jewelry does help us pay our employees, but we also have a more mending program that we're launching, and that really helps us provide services beyond employment opportunity to our survivors because we really recognize that they have a lot of needs that need to be met that maybe employment can't handle. So there's lots of ways people can be involved, and I'd like to be able to speak one-on-one to people if they have ideas.
Again, that contact information is info@mendonthemove.org. That's info@mendonthemove.org. There's also more information on their website, mendonthemove.org as well. If you'd like more information, info@mendonthemove.org to get involved with Mend on the Move and learn more information. And go to their website if you'd like to make a donation as well. That's mendonthemove.org. We're joined by Joanne Ewald, the founder of Mend on the Move, joining us today on the Megacast. Joanne, another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye on this edition of the Megacast. Anything else at this time that we haven't discussed about your organization that would be important for our audience to know or be considering at this time?
Well, I just wanted to also talk about one more thing about the art show, the Shop for Good Village. I do see that they actually have, if you apply before May 30th, you get a discount in the booth fee. And it's actually so affordable for nonprofits. We don't do a lot of art shows simply because they're a lot of money for a booth fee. And that money we think can be better spent and elsewhere being a nonprofit. But this is only $75 if they sign up before May 30th. And after that, it goes up to $100. But still, that is really a reasonable fee for a booth, I think. And that makes it affordable for us. Like I said, we wouldn't do a booth, usually an art show where it's $500 or something like that, which is a typical booth fee at a larger art fair. So I think it's definitely affordable and a good opportunity, I think, for other nonprofits out there that sell a product or any organization that's doing good in our community, selling a product that's doing good. Great opportunity for them to participate, I think.
Joanne, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate your interest and allowing me to be able to share about Mend.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tyler.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Did you know that nearly 3.31 million Americans don't get their annual checkup? Going to the doctor regularly is extremely important and is a crucial factor in maintaining good health. Make sure you are visiting your local doctor often and telling them about any health concerns you have. For more information, contact your local healthcare provider. This message is brought to you by WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, We can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Most of the pollution that goes into our rivers is carried by rainwater that flows off of roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
The leaves and bark of a single tree can retain a surprising amount of rainwater. Depending on its size and species, it could be 100 gallons or more.
It is estimated that an urban forest can reduce annual runoff by up to 7%.
Here's one thing that we know can help keep our water clean.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
Plant a tree.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior. These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance. They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different. One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games? Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate.
So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Welcome to the Megacast on your radio homes for the program. 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills, as well as across the rest of our network. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll also find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now is Gabe Karp, partner at Detroit Venture Partners and author of Don't Get Mad at Penguins and Other Ways to Detox Conflict in Your Life and Business. Gabe, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you as well. Appreciate having you on the program. So first off, can you just give us a little bit of your background and how you got into your current work, how you became an author? I understand you began your career as a trial lawyer.
Yes, that was a long way away from where I am now, but began my career as a trial lawyer. Never planned to go into business or anything like that. I was a litigator, so I was in court quite often. Did a lot of commercial litigation, which is what I call business divorce, and also some legal malpractice work. So our firm was suing other lawyers for screwing up, which if you think about a lawsuit being contentious, those lawsuits were super contentious. But it was great. It was great training. You know, I mean, imagine someone who cross-examines people for a living and who hates you. And you learn a lot about anger and how the energy can flow in a room and in a dialogue, and how to, at the time, if someone was angry with me, I tried to get them even more angry. I tried to get them as angry as I possibly could because it would just work to my advantage. And I was a litigator for about 10 years and then left the private practice law and joined a small startup, which was a whole other story that would take too long to get into now, but joined a small startup, maybe about 20 people or so when I joined. And we grew pretty fast to over 500 people. And while I first started out as the legal guy, pretty soon I was taking on lots of non-legal responsibilities, operations teams, and working with lots of leaders and helping grow other leaders in the company. And we started throwing off some cash. So we started to look for other companies to acquire. And I headed up those efforts and did the M&A stuff on those. And then we'd acquire companies and integrate them. And throughout that entire process, throughout being a lawyer and then working in business, anytime I would look backwards, maybe 6 months or a year, to try to inventory how I had been spending my time, I was always gravitating toward conflict. It used to be I was trying to create conflict and mix it up and stir it up. But then in business, I was seeking out conflict, rooting out conflict to figure out where the friction points were so that we could eliminate them and just be more efficient and grow faster. And the same patterns of conflict I saw in litigation were recurring in business and in personal lives too. So it wasn't the only common denominator was human beings working with one another, dealing with issues. And I started getting pattern recognition where I'd run into a problem and I'd say, wait a second, I've been in this situation before. It was different people, different dates, different facts, but it's the same structure of a problem. It's the same anatomy of the problem. And I started working on some tools to resolve them. And the great thing is that the same tools that can resolve conflict in a lawsuit or in a really difficult issue dealing with a client can be applied in any walk of life. And it doesn't matter if you're in the boardroom or in the courtroom or in the break room or in the parent-teacher conference or the bar or the Thanksgiving dinner table with a drunk, angry uncle spouting off about politics. It's the same patterns and the same tools. And then we sold our company. It was a successful exit. And since then, I've been into venture capital and working with the CEOs of companies that I'm on the boards of and seeing the same patterns over and over again. Only now I've got a pretty full portfolio of mistakes that I've made in the past. So I can see those patterns, and CEO tells me that something's going on and I say, oh yeah, I did that. I screwed that one up really bad. So I can certainly tell you, don't do what I did. maybe try this instead. And it's just really interesting to me how all of these things kind of come full circle. And again, same patterns. And I have sort of identified what I call toxins in conflict. And these are things that naturally occur in human interaction, anger, fear, judgment, ego. And in the right amounts, those things are great. They drive progress. They cause us to fix things that are broken. They help us avoid problems. But if those elevate too much or they get too low, they become toxic, and the conflict becomes toxic. So I like focusing on detoxing the conflict and then taking the healthy conflict and leveraging it to drive success. And if you think about it, probably any time in your life that you feel that you really grew from an experience or that you benefited from it, that was you working through conflict in a healthy way. Or maybe it didn't work out well for you. Since you got from that, put you in a much better position to deal with a similar conflict in the future in a far better way.
So, Gabe, when you mention good conflict, so often when people discuss the idea of a conflict being in place in any environment, it has this negative connotation. But like you said, there are certain kinds of conflict that can be very constructive in many different environments. Can you define what is good conflict and how to recognize that, okay, there's a conflict in my work situation, in my family situation, in my social life, but this is good. This can build something better in this relationship.
Yeah, sure. One premise to that question is that conflict is inevitable. And one of the myths out there, the common misconceptions, is that conflict is a bad thing and should be avoided. So I would say anyone who tries to avoid conflict is trying to avoid the inevitable. And that usually makes it worse. When you avoid a small conflict now because it's uncomfortable, that will allow it to fester and grow and develop into a much bigger conflict that's going to hit you eventually. So I would say this: most conflict comes from a difference of opinion or a difference in goals between people or groups or teams. And to me, that's a good thing. To recognize those differences and to be able to work through them allows you to pick the best solution, because no one person has all the answers, and everyone can benefit from a contrary viewpoint. And the ability to hear that viewpoint, to make your viewpoint known to someone who disagrees with you, allows both sides to come up with something that has collective benefit for everyone involved. So let's get specific. Let's say there's a leader who has an underperforming team member on their team, and they've got some harsh feedback to give that person. Tell that person things that they is not going to want to hear because it's going to make them feel bad. And as a result, the leader says, well, I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to hurt that person's feelings. So the leader withholds the feedback to avoid the conflict. But that's not avoiding conflict. That's just allowing someone who is doing something wrong or could be doing something better to improve to continue making mistakes. That's not respectful. That's disrespectful. That's mean. That's like actually a cruel thing to do to another human being. Take a really simple example. If right before I came on this show, I was talking to someone and I had food in my teeth, like spinach in my teeth, and the person looking at me just didn't say anything and allowed me to come on here, like that'd be mean. That's something I want to know. So healthy conflict is the kind of conflict where a leader can sit down with someone and say, listen, we've got a bit of a conflict here, but I want you to be aware of these things so that you can improve. And if you improve, then the team improves. And if the team improves, the company improves, and it's all good.
And what can be difficult in the heat of the moment in a conflict, or in a discussion that can get a little bit heated because there is a conflict in opinion or a conflict in philosophy, or certainly if there's a conflict in the perceived execution of something in a business sense, there can be this difficulty to take a step back, identify the situation you're in, and try to find the best route out for everybody involved, and identify what you have marked as those toxins. What's some advice or some strategies that you have for taking that step back and identifying in this conflict what are these toxins and how do we address them to turn this conflict into something positive like we just spoke about?
Sure. Yeah, great question. As far as the toxins are concerned, there are quite a few, but I found that 4 account for the vast majority of conflicts that I've experienced and witnessed: anger, fear, judgment, and ego. And when those things when people don't have enough of them or they have too much of them, those are the toxins and they create the conflict. But you also, at the beginning of your question, you touched on something that's really important. And that is, in the moment, it's hard because we kind of get triggered inside, like we get amped up. And there are really good reasons for that. And it's very helpful to understand that. I mean, it's nature and nurture. We are socialized from a young age to shy away from conflict. We sugarcoat feedback. We soften bad news. Our parents told us, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That creates this sign that if we ever express a contrary opinion or openly disagree with somebody, we're kind of, we're going against, we're sort of violating the rules that we were taught as a child. So we just don't want to do that. And in addition to that, we've got physiological aspects of our body that have developed over the millennia. I mean, you're talking about billions of years of evolution that have secured the survival and growth of the human species to protect against threats. And when we're confronted with a physical threat in the wild, we have a fight or flight response. And that does things like takes our thinking offline. When our ancestors faced a saber-toothed tiger, when they came out of the cave, they didn't have time to think or reason. They just had to react, and it had to be instinctive and reactive. So great. But those instincts are today. So when I'm in a meeting and someone says something and I feel maybe personally attacked or judged in a way, I'll start to feel the physiological effects of conflict. Like the hair on the back of my neck will stand up. My breathing and heart rate may increase. And those are signs. Those physiological symptoms are signs that something's going on and taking you into some toxic situation. So one piece of advice I have, and it's not like you can just flip a switch. You can't just turn that off. But what you can do is think about it in advance. And when that happens, identify the moment when you've got those physiological responses to conflict. And maybe at first you identifying it in real time, but you will immediately afterwards. I always tell people, like, have you ever come up with the perfect thing to say in an argument only an hour after the argument ended? And everyone says, yeah. And the reason is that your access to the thinking part of your brain had been shut down during that conflict. So if that ever happens, think back to that moment, because it won't have been that long ago. And you can say, you know what, I kind of get a sense of how I react in those situations. And the next time it happens and you say, oh, wait, I feel like my breathing's getting rapid, or I realize I don't like how this person's talking to me. I don't feel as in control of my thoughts and my words right now. If you can take literally just one breath and hold that space for a second or two, that's enough to disrupt that instinctive response and pull yourself into intellectual awareness. And that gives you power and control. And then there are a number of different tools you can employ to use them. But that first step it's not easy at first, but it's not that hard. And if you do it 3 or 4 times, the learning curve is pretty sharp. So you get much better after your third time of doing it than you did after your first.
We're joined by Gabe Karp, partner at Detroit Venture Partners. He's also an author of the book, Don't Get Mad at Penguins, Detox the Conflict in Your Life and Business for Success and Happiness. It's Don't Get Mad at Penguins and Other Ways to Detox the Conflict in Your Life and Business. More information on his website, gabekarp.com/book. That's Gabe Karp with a K.com/book. And so, Gabe, I do want to ask you about the title. Don't Get Mad at Penguins is the main title of this, and it also has the subtitle, and other ways to detox the conflict in your life and business. But where does the origin? Yes. Where does the origin? What's the origin? What's the purpose of Don't Get Mad at Penguins? Where does that come from?
Well, I think it's best to think of a saying, and I made this up, but I say it in a way that makes me sound like some wise old sage. But it's between expectation and reality is a space filled with suffering and conflict, and the wider that space becomes, the greater our suffering is. And the penguin analogy is really a lesson in acceptance. We should accept people with their limitations and all, and not expect them to do things that they're not capable of, even though we may really, really want them to. And one of the challenges with that is that it's oftentimes really hard to see someone's limitations, especially if everything else we know about them suggests that they're not limited. So take a penguin, for example. What do you mean a penguin can't fly? It's a bird. It's got wings. It's got feathers, and birds with wings and feathers can fly, except that penguins can't. Flight is simply beyond their ability, despite the fact that everything else we know about them suggests that they should be able to. And we can choose to get mad at that, or we can accept it. And that analogy, you can apply it to interaction and people that you deal with on a regular basis. And whatever the facts are, when you find that you are continually getting frustrated or angry or even fearful of someone in a similar situation over and over again because they're not behaving in a way that you want them to, it's very possible that that person is not making a choice. They're not doing it on purpose. The thing that you want them to do is beyond their ability.
Joined by Gabe Karp, partner at Detroit Venture Partners and author of Don't Get Mad at Penguins and Other Ways to Detox the Conflict in Your Life and Business, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on his website, gabekarp.com/book. That's Gabe Karp with a K.com/book. And Gabe, if people are interested in picking up a copy of Don't Get Mad at Penguins, where can they find your book online and even in some stores?
As my publisher says, the book is available everywhere books are sold. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Walmart, Target, Google. There's also an audiobook narrated by me. James Earl Jones wasn't available. And that's available on Audible, audiobooks.com, Apple, and a number of other platforms. So if you Google Don't Get Mad at Penguins, you'll see all the results you need to order it. And it's a great, it's a quick read. And I'd say it's a great investment for, a few bucks. You can get a new perspective on something you've probably been dealing with for a long time.
Yeah, take a couple of the pieces of advice from Gabe in today's program and expand on that with a full book of that sage advice. Gabe, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Appreciate it. More information on his website, gabekarp.com, including everywhere that you can find and pick up a copy of Don't Get Mad at Penguins and Other Ways to Detox the Conflict in Your Life and Business. We'll take a short break on the Michigan Megacast. When we return, we'll tell you where you can find some amazing reproductions of art pieces right in your backyard or in some of your favorite Michigan destinations. That's up next. This is the Michigan Megacast.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
A rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here
for you.
Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation.
Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanted to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you did. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV, or otherwise known as MyMy. Joining us now is Cathy Russ, Director of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, as well as Debbie Binder, West Bloomfield Township Clerk, and Terri Weingarden, West Bloomfield Township Treasurer, who were instrumental parts of a team of officials that helped to partner with the Detroit Institute of Arts in order to bring reproductions of classic art pieces to municipalities all throughout Oakland County and the Tri-County area. Cathy, Debbie, Terri, thank you all for joining us.
Hi, Tyler. Good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you all with us. So, earlier on just recently, we had the DIA on the program with us. We had Amanda Harrison from the DIA of Oakland County to talk about this project. Can each of you talk about the Inside Out program and efforts by each of you, along with others involved in West Bloomfield Township and in other surrounding areas, to make this project a reality and bring some of these art pieces that are reproductions, but still representations of these pieces to Oakland County, to many different locations throughout the county? Let's start with you, Cathy.
Oh, sure. So I had been part of the DIA Inside Out program as a group of people, bringing it to the community of Troy when I was director at the Troy Public Library. And I had worked with the city's community affairs director and the Parks and Recreation director to bring that to Troy. So I got an email that said that the DIA was accepting applications for the 2022 season for Inside Out. So I reached out to Jen Tucker at Parks and Debbie and Terri and said, hey, what do you think? Do you want to try this? And I think it might have been Jen, but it might have even been Debbie or Terri who had been kind of thinking along those lines already. So it was like a very synergistic partnership. We were all on the same page right off the bat. And Jen and I worked on the application with help from Debbie and Terri. I'm fairly new still to the community, so I wanted to make sure, I was understanding and hitting the high points. So I would say it's very definitely a collaborative project, and we all felt really we really hoped that we would get it because we knew this would be a great thing to bring to the community.
And so for you, Debbie, same question for you. Can you talk about being involved in the Inside Out program and why this was something that when it was brought to your attention and to the township's attention, that it became an immediate interest and something that could not only be something impressive for the residents of West Bloomfield, but something that could attract other people to visit West Bloomfield in these many different locations?
It was something that I had thought about before, and just time kept me from getting it done. When Cathy brought it to our attention, it was an exciting moment for two reasons. It was an exciting moment for the opportunity, and it was an exciting moment because of the team that got to work together. And we have one of our committee members here, I wouldn't call it, I guess, an ad hoc committee, but is under the weather right now. But we worked with Jen Tucker, and we had the ability to bring a collaboration of the library, the parks, and town hall together to bring something to the community that we thought would really add enrichment to the lives of our residents, and also make our residents who may or may not be aware of the DIA aware of all of the offerings of the DIA. I think it's a win-win as far as something for our community. And I think that the other win is that the four of us working together brought some really cool opportunities to the community. So I think there will be many more to come. We had a great time working together. It was a wonderful collaboration, and I think that the community will only benefit from this team working together.
And then Terri, we know that West Bloomfield has an affinity for art. It plays host to the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show every summer as well. And so when you and the rest of the committee in West Bloomfield were discussing going and trying for the Inside Out program and discussing with the DIA, what made, in your arguments, West Bloomfield one of those perfect locations to bring some of these recreated art pieces into different spots in Oakland County?
Yeah, so thanks so much, Tyler. As Debbie and Cathy have indicated, first of all, it's just so great that we're working so collaboratively with the library and parks. I mean, really, we make up the community, and to the community, there is no designation. So being able to figure out a way to bring back this program, which we've had before, but it's been quite a few years. I remember I first found out about it when I was walking through Marshbank Park, which is just such a beautiful jewel in our community, with my closest friend. And we stepped out of a path, and there in front of us was a beautiful recreation of some art from the DIA. I remember we just stopped and we're like, wow, art, nature, West Bloomfield, yay. I mean, it was so nice to have art in our community. And especially nowadays, people are getting into these immersive art exhibitions, which are really pretty cool. What's nice about things like this is it really gets families to kind of feel like art is more a part of their daily life. I mean, think about it. You're just on a walk with your kids and your dog, and there's some beautiful art. You stop by one of our beautiful sites, like maybe you go to the West Bloomfield Library for like a story time, or you stop by Parks and Rec to plan camp for your kid, and then all of a sudden there's this gorgeous work of art. For instance, one of my family's favorites over the years is called the Hazelnut. I think it's called, let me see, I put my glasses on to make sure I'm getting it right. Yeah, it's called the Hazelnuts. And it's a beautiful piece of art with these two girls just kind of like sitting on the grass. And for some reason, because I have two girls, we always really identified with this one. And there were a few other works of art we really liked. And we would go to the DIA, and then we'd find these works of art. And we'd also look to see if maybe things that in the art museum reminded us of things in our own life or family members. It's really fun. There was another work of art that actually in it, one of the girls in the art looked exactly like my daughter at that age. So I think that once you find the art in your own environment, it kind of tickles a fancy to go see some more. And the DIA is an amazing art museum that, you know, is a part of the Oakland County Millage. So our community can go there for free. So it's really a wonderful resource, and we're so excited to have it. And I so appreciate working on this with Parks and Library and Debbie, and it's just been a great experience.
And so, Debbie, as this program is soon to be underway and in West Bloomfield and other areas in Oakland County, as the township, as this committee, and in the discussions with the DIA are talking about different places to put some of these works of art, what sort of factor played into it in creating attractions in West Bloomfield Township and trying to bring people in, not only, of course, to attract the eye of the residents to greater engage in their community, but also bring other people in to explore West Bloomfield, to patronize West Bloomfield and its businesses and its parks and other locations. What factor did that play into the ultimate decision of these different locations and these different art pieces that will be displayed by the DIA in West Bloomfield?
In terms of the discussion, again, that was a team discussion. We were looking at our community and the diversity that we represent. It was an on-site walk around and plan with the DIA. So it wasn't just a let's talk, it was a let's walk and look at locations and discuss what we were looking to accomplish by bringing the art to our community. One of the things was having diversity represented in the choices. Since we are one of the more diverse communities in Michigan, we thought that having a diverse background of artists would also be something that was appealing to our residents. And we also were looking at locations, maybe getting into areas that were less populated, perhaps. And not, people always come to the downtown area, but how do we get them out more on, we know they're going to the trail, but let's put something at the trail. Let's put something at the West Acres Library. Let's get people moving around the community more. We looked to, Cathy in the library and Jen in parks to really help with the programming. As much as we love to believe that people come here because the board's just so fabulous, the reality is they really come here because of our parks and our library and the programming and resources they provide. So that was where the value of the partnership came into play to help with that. But again, going back to, we had two clear goals. One was to represent the community with the art choices, and two was to make sure that that different areas of the community had the opportunity to experience that art and bring people who may not have ever been to the West Acres Library. I mean, everyone knows the main library, but they may have never gone to the West Acres Library. Now they have a solid reason to go over to West Acres and see the piece of art that's there, and also discover the beautiful and tranquil resources that the West Acres Library has.
We're also joined by Terri Weingarden, West Bloomfield Township Treasurer, also on the Michigan Megacast. Terri, what are some of the locations in West Bloomfield that some of these pieces will be located at if people are interested in engaging in this program right in West Bloomfield?
Right. So thanks again, Tyler. So as I mentioned, my family loves the painting The Hazelnuts. That one is at the Parks and Recreation Center. We also have Blue Madonna, which is a very interesting work of art that I wasn't familiar with. So I'm excited about that one. That one's at the West Bloomfield Township Library, the main branch. Then at the West Acres branch, we have Night Shift, which is more of a photographic piece from the Pontiac Assembly Plant. So that's a nice one. And then what's really great too is in some of the parks, we of course have landscapes. So at Marchbank Park, we have Bank of the Oise et Auvers, which is a Vincent van Gogh. And then at the West Bloomfield Nature Preserve on Arrowhead, we have Winter Landscape in Moonlight. And then at the Drake Sports Park, we have the Wedding Dance, which probably some people in our community are familiar with. It's kind of a well-known painting. So we really got some gems. And what's interesting too is when you look at them, of course, they're recreations, but they're vibrant. I mean, they really do look like the originals. And it's just really a great way to have like a hands-on experience. And you know how the young people are going around and they're Google games where they would go from site to site. We have 6 sites, so maybe this could be a little bit of a treasure hunt, an art treasure hunt for our residents to see all the pieces.
We're joined by Terri Weingarden, West Bloomfield Township Treasurer, as well as Debbie Binder, the Township Clerk, and then Cathy Russ, Director of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. And Cathy, as you said, when you worked as the director of the Troy Public Library, the Inside Out program did come to Troy. What was the reaction from the folks in Troy to this program, and then from the city also, and having these different recreations of iconic pieces of art as attractions in the city?
Oh, it was nothing but positive. I mean, everybody loved it, enjoyed it. In fact, I think there were a lot of people who had asked us, if I remember, if we could keep them and keep them forever. And it was like, well, no, they have to go to other communities. The DIA takes them back and tries to share the wealth. But I think what it does is it makes an argument for public art. That public art really does bring so much to the community. These pieces are on loan to us. We have them for several months. Then they'll go back to the DIA and next year be used in another community. but that public art enhances a walk in the park, enhances your entrance to the library, your visit to the recreation department, wherever you happen to be. It gives you something different to look at. It gives you something to think about. Just brings that cultural dimension to your life that you might not be paying attention to or notice, or just maybe, just adds it where it isn't there. So I think we're all hoping that that's the experience that people in West Bloomfield have, just that it enhances their lives and is something fun and enjoyable for families to do, for individuals to do, just for everybody to enjoy.
Inside Out by the Detroit Institute of Arts can be found in 3 different counties throughout southeastern Michigan, in Wayne County, in Macomb County, and in Oakland County, in places such as West Bloomfield Township. More information on dia.org/InsideOut. That's dia.org/InsideOut, or by visiting the Township's website, wbtownship.org, or the library's website, wblib.org. And Cathy, as we engage with this event, as you've seen the impact it had in Troy, in that city, and at your library over there, now, and knowing that the township has such a love and appreciation for art, does that inspire more events to then pop up in the near future through the library or through other organizations, as you speak with others in the committee, to continue to engage the community through art?
Oh, sure. So one of the things that I think is so great about this program is the DIA program is it lends itself to programming, certainly for the library and certainly for parks. And I think at some point, Jen Tucker, I'm sure, will be a guest on your program so she can talk about all the great things that Parks is doing. I do want to mention, in addition, Tyler, to the websites that you mentioned, the Parks Department does have a map of all of the pieces on their website. It's wbparks.org/DIA. And it's a great map because it shows all the different locations, but it also shows you a small representation of each piece, and you can see where each piece is. So I just want to make sure to get that out there. But in terms of programming, yes, the library, the timing was great for this program because it's in tandem with our summer reading program. And this is the first year since the pandemic that we are restarting in-person programming. So we really put a lot of thought into ways that we can gather people safely, but do some special events around these pieces. And I don't know if, is it okay if I talk more about those?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So we have a program called Inside Out People in Place, and an art expert named Karen Imaricio is coming to do a program for us. It's the same program, once on June 2nd and once on August 4th. But she's going to take each piece and give the history of it, talk about the cultural things that were going on at the times the piece was created or photographed or what have you. And so if anybody is interested in learning more about individual pieces, this would be a great program for that. And then we've also got, because the piece at the West Acres branch is a photograph, it's called Inside Out Photography, and that's on July 7th. And it talks more about the importance of photography in the art world. Sometimes people think, oh, it's just a picture, it's just a photograph. Well, photography is art. And so we talk more about that, and then specifically about the piece at West Acres, which is called Night Shift Pontiac Assembly, about assembly line production in Pontiac at the plant by Russ Marshall. So those are two programs. The one that I think is just really fun and creative, those are education informative programs, but if you really want to get your creativity on, we have tiny art kits. And tiny art is just what it sounds like. You paint a little teeny picture. So you can pick up the kits at the library starting on July 18th, and you can take them home and you can paint your little masterpiece and then bring it back to the library, and we're going to display them all. So so you can create your own masterpiece and we will display it for you at the library. And that's for all ages.
More information on wblib.org. You can also learn more about the Inside Out program coming to West Bloomfield at wbtownship.org, and find the full map of locations in West Bloomfield at wbparks.org. For more information throughout the Oakland County, Wayne County, and Macomb County area, where Inside Out will be in several different communities in each of those counties, go to dia.org/InsideOut. Debbie, Terri, Cathy, thank you all so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Tyler.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Thanks.
Thank you. We're going to take a break here on the Megacast. When we return, we'll talk about our friends on four legs with Sydney Terenzi of the Happy Paws Haven Company. That's up next in just a few minutes on the Michigan Megacast.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners, working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is the source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Can I ask you a question?
Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes, they stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Joining us now is Sydney Terenzi, Vice President of Happy Paws Haven Company, one of almost exactly 300 nonprofits and charities supported on the Shared Detroit platform. Sydney, appreciate you taking time to join us.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Tyler.
Yeah, good to have you on with us. Can you first start off by just telling us about the organization and the services that it provides in the local area?
Certainly. Good morning. And as you said, Tyler, my name is Sydney. I'm the Vice President of our Animal Rescue Happy Paws Haven. We're a foster-based rescue that it's a no-kill rescue that operates primarily in and around the Metro Detroit area. I'm one of 4 board members that oversee our rescue. I work alongside Gina, our president, Libby, our secretary, and Corey, our treasurer. In terms of the types of services we offer, our main objective is obviously to take in homeless animals, get them any and all vet care that they need, and adopt them into loving homes. So that process involves a variety of services, such as taking in, stray animals locally, relieving overcrowded shelters elsewhere, and then also being a resource for current pet owners that can no longer keep those pets. So we do have an adoption program, a foster program. We do TNR. We have it's trap, neuter, return for essentially maintaining the population control of local community cats and making sure that they get the vet care they need, stay healthy. We also have a pet pantry. I can get into that in more detail. And we're launching a dog training program very soon as well.
Yeah, so tell us about the Pet Pantry and that program, and give some details on what it is and how it can benefit pets in the local area, especially as they're being fostered or being adopted.
Certainly. Our Pet Pantry is phenomenal. It's called Penny's Pet Pantry, and you can reach out to us at any point if needed. But essentially that's to offer, services, offer food and supplies for pet owners that may be going through a difficult time and may need assistance with those supplies. We're happy to be a resource for those people. And the goal is obviously for us, not only to adopt animals into loving homes, but to be able to keep animals in their homes. So having that pet pantry, if we can provide that relief that's needed to keep an animal in their home, we're happy to do so.
We're joined by Sydney Terenzi, the Vice President of Happy Paws Haven Company, one of nearly 300 Shared Detroit supported charities and nonprofits in the Metro Detroit area, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information can be found on their website as well. That's Happy Paws Haven Company. Their website as well is happypawshaven.pet. Sorry, that's happypawshaven.pet. for more information. And so if people are interested in fostering, what goes into being a foster and what sort of requirements are there when they're signing up, when people are signing up or families are signing up in order to qualify to foster some of these animals?
Well, mainly our fosters just need to be willing to take in an animal temporarily. That's the biggest requirement. It's just kind of being that stepping stone, that bridge between, us taking in an animal and then, essentially finding an eligible adopter. So those foster homes are absolutely essential to us. We can't have adoptable animals without fosters first to temporarily house them. So we rely heavily on our fosters. They're phenomenal, but our requirements are pretty minimal. We just need to know that you are able to care for an animal temporarily and you want to do so. Essentially, we provide all the supplies that are needed. We cover the costs of the vet care in that time period, and we're there as a resource for them as well. So we appreciate their efforts. We want to support our fosters because they're really the backbone of our rescue. So as for our foster program, we kind of have two different types of intent or mentality behind it. We have a through and through foster program, but we also have a foster to adopt program, which is, important to allow that opportunity. If a animal fits well in the foster's family and they want to ultimately adopt, that they can do so. I think it's important to consider the idea, if you are looking to add a new animal into your household, a new pet, that you actually sign up to foster first. It just makes sense that you would, you can choose the foster animal you'd prefer, kind of give a test run, if you will, in your household, see if they're a good fit for your family. And if it works out, great, you can ultimately adopt. But if it's, maybe not the right fit for your family, then you simply, house them until we find the right fit, and we can, certainly continue fostering until you find the right pet for your family.
So if someone is interested in fostering and or adopting a pet through Happy Paws Haven Company, how do they go about doing that? Where do they start? Is there a physical location they go to? Is there a website?
Yeah, so we do not have a physical building. We have fosters throughout all of Metro Detroit area and beyond. So in terms of adopting or fostering, you can go to our website. Again, that's www.happypawshaven.pet, P-E-T. On there, we have a foster/adoption page. And on that page, we have adoption applications for both cats and dogs, and we also have foster applications for cats and dogs. So at the top, there's a section of all of our adoptable dogs, and above that's the app to adopt, and then below that for the cats as well. If you scroll down to a little bit further beyond our adoptable animals, that's where the foster applications are on our website.
We're joined by Sydney Terenzi, Vice President of Happy Paws Haven Co., joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on their website, happypawshaven.pet. That's happypawshaven.pet. And Sydney, at this time, what is the best way that people out in the community, in the Metro Detroit area, but even across the state of Michigan that may be watching, can support your organization?
Well, obviously, if you are able to foster or adopt through us, those are our primary needs. We celebrate those successes, and every member of our rescue, our fosters, our adopters, our volunteers, are also so important to us and just instrumental in making it all work. If those aren't options that you can do, we of course welcome donations. Donations allow us to keep bringing in new animals, caring for them, getting the vet care taken care of, and providing the supplies that we need for those animals. So that's a huge, wonderful way you can help. Certainly simply spreading awareness, putting our name out there and sharing us on social media, sharing our adoptable animals is always helpful and an easy, free way to help. And of course, we welcome everybody to come out to our events. We have fundraising events regularly. We have some upcoming ones that we encourage people to attend if you'd like to support us. Actually, this Sunday we'll be in Franklin for a BYOD. It's Bring Your Own Dog event from 1 to 4 on Sunday. And all the information is on our website. We have an events page on there, and we'll also have a booth at Pride, and I believe that's June 4th. Let me double check, and we'll be there. Yep, in Ferndale. So exciting upcoming events. We'll have a whole list of them on our website, and we encourage and appreciate anyone's attendance and support.
Sydney, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
More information, happypawshaven.pet. That's happypawshaven.pet, or by visiting sharedetroit.org. That is going to do it for this week's editions of the Megacast. Yes, we will not have a new program on Friday because we will be broadcasting on our flagship on Civic Center TV, the Michigan Week Community Awards Breakfast, celebrating volunteers in the greater West Bloomfield area, as well as Waterford, Walled Lake, Bloomfield Hills, and other surrounding places as well. So tune into that on Civic Center TV at 7 a.m. on Friday. We will return on Monday with new episodes. In the meantime, go to our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. Find all of our programs, including our full episodes and each individual interview on demand, and more information on each and every one of our partnering stations. Go to our local news page on civiccentertv.com/local-news to get up-to-date information from the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division on COVID-19, and find your top stories making headlines across the Great Lakes State each and every day. Big thank you to everybody that joined us on the program, and big thank you to our crew that makes this program possible every day. Calvin Brown, our technical director, Jared Clark, our Zoom producer, and Larry Nyland, the king of television, our producer, helping us and our guests prepare for each and every edition of the Megacast. On My Michigan TV, it's Steve Leto Live coming up next, followed by Larry and Maddie Live. We'll return on Monday with a new edition of the Megacast.